What's going on, everybody? My name is Astroiix and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some pretty exciting news. For those of you who do not know, today was the Black Ops 4 Zombies Comic-Con panel. We got some pretty good information, including the Blood of the Dead intro cutscene, which is just amazing.
Hey, can you throw me another Capri Sun?
But we actually do have some pretty good information to cover here. Some of it was gotten from Jason Blundell during an interview, and actually some of it was also on the Activision blog post. We also got some of it from the trailer we got a few days ago for the Chaos storyline. And yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. So starting off with some of the stuff we learned about the Chaos storyline. If you remember back to the E3 panel that Jason had, he talked about that you can customize the special weapons. And if you go all the way back to the actual reveal on May 17th, you can remember there was this giant wall that had some weapons on it. There was a staff, this giant hammer, like a blunderbuss, these little... And we were really confused on what that was, but now from the trailer, we kind of have an idea of what those were, and I'm pretty sure that those are actually the special weapons that Jason was talking about, and they're going to be replacing the specialist weapons from zombies, so like the Ragnaroks, the Annihilator, and the swords, and you're going to be able to choose which ones you want before you go into a game. So the four we know of so far are the staff, the blunderbuss and flail sword, the giant hammer, and the shuriken and melee weapon. We can see all four of these being used inside of the actual Chaos storyline trailer. Starting off with the staff, we actually see Shaw using this at one point, and he's going down the stairs, and we can actually see these staff shooting out like this giant beam of fire. Now it's kind of hard to tell it's the staff, but it definitely is. As you can see, whatever it is, he's holding it like a giant stick, which would make sense for it to be the staff. So we know one of the abilities is a giant beam of fire, and the next ability, which is really weird, is you can kind of place it down to create this giant bubble around you. And we can see from the trailer that any zombies that walk into that bubble kind of get slowed down, and I'm gonna assume to take damage. What I guess is gonna be useful for is part of the Easter egg, maybe, where you have to like guard something and you can place that down, or if you have to revive a teammate, you can place it down and the zombies will be slow. Now Jason Blundell did confirm that using the staff won't transport you from map to map. That was just a cool transition they did. But moving on to the next weapon, we have the blunderbuss, I'm gonna kill myself. The blunderbuss and flail sword. Also, I should have mentioned we have no official names on these besides the staff being called the staff. But the blunderbuss and flail sword is basically this small little blunderbuss and this sword that when swung, like, elongates into a giant flail. Basically, the blunderbuss can be shot for like almost like an explosive round that'll kind of do a small explosion that'll kill zombies, and the flail can be swung around very similar to how the swords were in Shadows of Evil, and it'll do like an explosive effect on the zombies and kill them. We can see Scarlet using this, and it kind of reconnects down to the sword. Very interesting. Next is the electrical hammer. We can see Bruno using this in the 9 part of the trailer. Basically, all we know you can do with it is just slam it down on the ground, and it'll do an electrical effect very similar to the uncharged version of the electric bow's attack under Eisendrach. Next is the shuriken slash melee. Now, I remember seeing something about this being from Indian mythology. I forget the actual name. It's like Chiraka or something. But this is also dual wield, and you can throw one of the things to kind of go around in a boomerang effect, and it'll just chop zombies up and come back to your hand. And then the other one is sort of a push knife melee. It reminds me of that one melee weapon from Black Ops 3. It was like a DLC weapon. It was also in the time trials for, I believe, Revelations. And yeah, those are the 4 melee weapons. Now, there was a leak, actually. Now, I can't exactly find it, but I remember there was a leak on the Reddit that actually said that these weapons are designed for specific characters, but any character can use them. So I'm pretty sure it said, like, Scarlet had the staff, but we actually see Shaw using the staff, so I don't know if that's exactly true. But moving on to what we heard in the Comic-Con panel today, we got a ton of Blood of the Dead and classified information, as well as a little bit of information about the new storyline. Starting off with the Blood of the Dead information, obviously we got the intro cutscene, which is very interesting.
Mind blood! You cannot possibly expect me to let this happen! You son of a bitch! Try me, bitch.
We see the Primus characters in the walls of Alcatraz, where you get the spoon for the golden spork. They then rip through the poster and end up in one of the cells and go down to the lab, where they meet another version of Richtofen, who seems like he's going insane. Now, there are a few theories coming up out of this. One of the main ones is that obviously this is not following the timeline that we got, so people think this might be a fracture. And one of the theories I saw from Nick Sari was that this is very similar to the giant intro cutscene, where we are watching a fracture be made. People think that the Richtofen man that we see giving them the blood vials, unlike the timeline, this is actually post-Revelations Richtofen. He's trying to break the cycle so the characters won't go through it and fall into the trap that Monty put them. I know there was a leak from like a month or so back, so stop listening right now if you don't want leaks, that said that during the Easter egg, Richtofen from post-Revelations will start talking to the characters, telling them to stay at Alcatraz and not go to Garad Krovi to break the cycle because Monty is evil. Now, obviously, this could be 100% false. This is like before we knew any information about it, and it just conveniently got leaked after Blood was announced, so it very well could be fake, but it does seem to be adding up with what some theories say. Now, we know that in the timeline, they get the blood and they go back to Zetsubou no Shima with no issue. However, in this one, Brutus gets in the way, and he breaks the portal before they can get through. This also could be the creating of the fracture, or it could be when the other Richtofen's giving them the blood. Now, what the leak also said, so again, stop listening, is that at the end of the Easter egg, the Primus crew will leave and go to Zetsubou no Shima, but before they do, they'll get the Victus characters out of the stasis chambers. So instead instead of ending the game, we'll be playing as the Victus characters. Another thing that actually sort of proves this is that the voice actor for Misty liked a tweet asking if she's reprising the role as Misty, which is interesting since she has literally never acknowledged any information about Misty since she played the character. So a lot of people think she is coming back in some way or another. What we're getting from the intro cutscene is that this is not how the timeline stated getting the blood vials would go. This is somehow a fracture in some way, shape, or form, whether it be where they got the blood vials or whether it be when Brutus closed the portal. We have no idea. Also, Blundell did say that this version of Mob of the Dead is 30 to 35% larger than the original and covers the entire island, which is that's insane. They also said that this is going to be putting the cherry on top for all storyline and gameplay features they wanted to add but couldn't due to time and console restraints, and basically as the send-off for Mob of the Dead should have been, and is completely filling this map with all the storyline and gameplay features they wanted in the original Mob of the Dead, basically just making sure that there's no more questions about the map. We also learned that Classified will be following the Ultimus crew, and Jason was very vague when he was talking about it, so there's a lot of confusion, but what I'm getting from it is it takes place in the Pentagon, but it is not a 5 remake or remaster. It is a complete remodeling of the map, so it's not going to be similar, or it's not going to be the same at least at all. They're completely remodeling and remaking it, which is very interesting because they're just completely redoing it, so we're not going to be super familiar with it right when we start picking it up. And it's interesting how they're completely changing that. Like, that just doesn't even make sense in the first place. Like, how is the Pentagon changed? They said it leads up to how zombies originally got in the Pentagon. The reason they're doing this is because there's so much mystery around the storyline with it for the fans and even the people who worked on it. People at Treyarch don't even know the storyline of this map, which just shows how oddball it is. But this new map, Classified, is supposed to just clear all that up and show how zombies got there and how it fits in the storyline exactly. What I'm getting is this map and Blood of the Dead are supposed to just completely put the cherry on top of the old storyline. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all this fracturing stuff would mean that we have like 2 maps in the DLC cycle are for the new storyline and 2 maps are for the old. Unfortunately, we still have no gameplay screenshots or trailers or anything for Classified. I'd say we have to wait about a month or 2 for that. I know with the Giant, we got the gameplay trailer like a month before the game came out, so I'd say in like September would get something. But moving over to the new storyline information, what we've learned from this is that the perk system is being called the Alter system. And again, Jason was very vague and confusing with it. But what I'm getting from it is that there are 4 total perks you can have at a time, so there's going to be no perkaholic or unquenchable equivalents. There are 4 statues or altars that represent a perk in the map, and you can customize what perk that statue represents. The statues are Danu, Odin, Zeus, and Ra, but the way I think they're trying to go with it is the statues are set in specific locations, and then you can customize what perk each statue represents in each game. So for example, one game you can have Danu be Quick Revive, you can have Zeus be Jug, Odin be Double Tap, and Ra be Speed Cola. And then in another game, you can have Danu be Double Tap, and Ra be PhD or whatever, and you can change it up completely so you can make it just never the same in each game, and I think that's interesting, the way to go with it. But then there's issues that come up, like what happens if you go through all of your quick revives? Does that mean you can only have a max of 3 perks, or is there like a backup perk that'll spawn in, or will Danu's purpose switch, or like what is it? But it's basically confirmed that these statues are somehow representing perks. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.